So let's continue. We've spoken about the escape hatches. We've got a life raft up on deck, almost directly above my head here. And if we continue down into the cabin, on the sail, in the sail locker, on the bulkhead, a bulkhead's just another name for a wall, we've got fire extinguishers. Then also in the sail locker we've got a black ball and cone. Now the black ball is an international day shape for a vessel at anchor. So if you're dropping anchor somewhere, you generally should during the day hoist a black ball so everybody around you can see that you're at anchor. At night you would have an all-round white light either on top of the mast or from suspended from the boom, all-round white light showing that the vessel is at anchor. So while we're on the subject of fire extinguishers, let's just take a quick look. So we've spoken about this fire extinguisher on the bulkhead, you can see in the sail locker. Then in the saloon I've got an aerosol can here for quick emergency fires. This is a fire blanket that you pull the toggles out. It's like a big asbestos sheet, flexible sheet that you can smother the flames with if you have a fire in your galley. We have another fire extinguisher on this bulkhead on the starboard side of the companionway as you come down, and we've got one on the port side of the companionway as we come down. And we've got one more fire extinguisher in the aft cabin, which is down through that door and to your right in the aft cabin. That's where the fire extinguishers are. So let's go back. Put the old GoPro here. So next thing, we've got first aid kit, very important. We've got two first aid kits. They are in the heads. The heads is just another name for the toilet area. So they call them the heads, and in the heads I've got two first aid kits. Then, quite important, in the main saloon area. So let's just take a little stroll around here. In this main saloon area we've got safety harnesses and life jackets under the chart table. We've got a grab bag here, very important, which I'll show you what this grab bag contains in a little while. Take this out and show you. Grab bag, it's waterproof. I've got a throwing line, this one here you can see with the yellow, it's a throwing line. I've got a couple of boat hooks, one there, another boat hook here. So in the saloon area I've got a whole lot of tools under this starboard bunk, because a lot of the times you need to repair stuff, and the more tools you have the better. I've got a paint locker underneath there when we do any paint repairs, etc. And in terms of the fire equipment, in terms of safety equipment, those are the key sort of things that we have. So before we carry on with examining the contents of the grab bag, let's just turn around. Let's look on this bulkhead. You're coming down the companion steps here. You'll see on your port side, safety equipment. This is the EPIRB, Emergency Positioning Indicating Radio Beacon. It's probably the most important piece of safety equipment if you need to abandon the boat. But remember, you would only abandon the boat if there is an imminent danger of the vessel sinking, otherwise you stick with the boat. But that EPIRB, when it's activated, will send a signal to the nearest satellites, and from there it will send nearest signals to the nearest search and rescue station that will then coordinate a rescue. So like an aircraft transponder, on their screen it comes up the name of the vessel, the owner, your location, very important, latitude, longitude, etc., etc. All important next of kin information, quite useful. So on this bulkhead we can see we've got torches, waterproof torch, a big torch, we've got a couple of knives, we've got a foghorn, there's a whistle, On this side we've got sail ties, boat hook, etc. And then as we come around here, in terms of safety equipment, gas is one of the major causes of fire. So those two red buttons you can see on the stove are the two plates on port and starboard, and the black buttons indicate the grill and the oven. So if one of these flames goes off through the, let's say the wind blows it off, then the beauty of this stove is it will shut off the gas. But on some stoves it might not be the case. So what I've done is I have put in an extra stopcock. Excuse the noise. I don't know if you can see it. There's the gas stopcock. So whenever I don't use it, when it's in the line with the pipe that's on, when I finish using, I put it off again. So it's just a double safety mechanism. And then of course all the gas bottles are outside in the aft lazarette or aft locker. So what have we covered so far? If we go back here, we've looked at first aid kit, the grab bags, EPIRB, the foghorn, life vests, harnesses. We've got fire extinguishers we've spoken about. Oh yes, under the steps. We've spoken about the gas. Under the steps, let's go back to the companionway steps. Here we are, you're coming down the companionway steps. That little messy sort of box underneath the steps contains things like a couple of bolt cutters, hacksaw, all those kind of things. Big hammer, in case you need to saw through your shrouds, which are your steel cables supporting the mast. Then let's look here again. Very important, we've come down, done all the bolt cutters, etc. Outside hatch we've got the fenders, the mooring lines and the gas bottles. We've spoken about the Dan buoy and the life ring. There's a boarding ladder. There's an emergency tiller in the aft cabin. So taking you slowly around into the aft cabin, this boat's got cable steering. So if anything happens to the steering, we can use a mechanical device like a tiller to steer the boat, and that's inside here. So I can bolt it onto the rudder stock at the back, sit in the cockpit and steer the boat like the old-fashioned boats with the tiller. Quite important in terms of your safety. So coming back to our safety equipment, possibly very important are the location of the manual and the electric bilge pumps. What are the bilges? The bilges are the lowest vessel on the boat, so all the water will get to the lowest part of the boat, and from that point I've got two mechanical bilge pumps. The one is in the cockpit. If you look at that little pipe there where I'm pointing, that fits into that black fitting on the starboard side there. You stick the lever in, you start pumping, and it'll suck the water from the lowest point of the boat and pump it out. You can see through that yellow pipe that's there under the chart table. It pumps it out. And we've got a mechanical, the other mechanical bilge pump is located in the bilges. So I'm not so sure what you can see, but let's have a look. There's the bilges right down way dark in the dark deep depths of the boat. This is the mechanical, the other mechanical bilge pump. You pump it this way, you can hear the suction. There's no water at the moment, so it'll suck any water out through that yellow pipe, and those are mechanical. And I've got an electrical bilge pump which also sucks from the bottom here on the main distribution board. So you can see here I've got mechanical bilge pump. When I turn that on, it will suck the water from the bilges through that other thin pipe underneath there, pump all the water out. Okay, so that deals with some of the key safety equipment.